So let's talk a little bit about, or I'll share a little bit about what's current reality. How many of you recognize this current reality? Any of you got a lot more to do than you have time, resources to do, and the opportunities are overwhelming out there. Yeah, it's huge. By the way, people talk oftentimes about information overload. That's not the issue. If it was, you'd walk into a library and die. First time you connected to the web, you'd blow up. As a matter of fact, the most relaxing environment in the world is the most information-rich environment in the world. It's all around. It's called nature. Matter of fact, you really want to stress out and go nuts. Sensory deprivation is a fast way to do that. It's not really information overload. It's that inside of that is information that is potentially meaningful, but we don't know yet exactly what that meaning is, nor have we been able to calibrate it against all the other things we consider meaningful and have made commitments about. And if you haven't handled that very well, there's a real good chance it feels and looks like that. There is another approach, and I use an image from the martial arts because I had a black belt in karate many years ago. Mind like water, grasshopper, sort of beginner's mind idea. Is there a way to somehow thread through all that potential meaning and overwhelming set of commitments and stuff to do and still have clear space? So years ago, I discovered what I refer to now as the strategic value of clear space. I work one-on-one with some of the best and brightest and busiest people on the planet, coaching and working with their implementation of this methodology that I'm sort of uncovered. And every one of them, when it really comes down to it, the one thing they'd give a significant body part for is more psychic space. To do the kind of thinking, to be as creative, to be as innovative as they think they feel like they should. And it's not time and physical space. Those are critical components. But you can have 2 hours of free time and lots of room and still play solitaire on your computer because you're stressed out. It's really the psychic space. Once you have psychic space, in 3 minutes in an elevator, you can have an idea that'll turn you on. So it's really, how do I create that psychic space amidst all of that? Now, that kind of has a little bit of a passive idea. I use another image, which I call knowledge worker ninja. What are the two elements this thing is representing? The two elements that in my years of working with this material, I found, ultimately the simplicity on the other side of complexity comes down to two things. And it's the two things that actually represented, and I think you'll see, I can run the slide back after you see this, but in my 65 years of, experience, I think it comes down to two things. If you had enough of a sense of I've got things under control and I'm focused appropriately in terms of my attention and my resources, no problems. Every single thing you think about in terms of personal organization, time management, prioritization, any of those kinds of issues could all be wrapped together. There is some improvement opportunity about having things more under control or more appropriately focused. Come on, any of you ever been in a situation where you said, wait a minute, we need to get organized and get focused? That's actually accurate. There's two admonitions there, not one. There's two. Organize is not the best term. Now, when I say control, I don't mean control like control your kids, control your boss, control the world. Good luck. I'm talking about having things under control like a boat or a conversation or a project or your desk or your head. So that's what I mean by those two things. And in all of my years and a lot of the research of what I've found is how do we get back to those in case you lose them? And by the way, if you're not losing one or both of those at least a half a dozen times a day, you're stale. I guarantee you, I listened to Maggie this morning, I guarantee you she threw herself way out of control, didn't know what the hell she was going to do as soon as she put on that pack and left. Same is true for all of us. If you're being creative, if you're stepping out, if you're sort of breaking your bounds, you're of necessity are going to throw things out of control, and you're going to have to keep rethinking and refocusing on what's the right focus right now. What I found was, in case you lose these, how do I get things back under control if they're out, and how do I get things back on focus in case it's fuzzy?